Week one of the college football season is just 2 days away. Texas A&M takes on UTSA on Saturday night. But what are the keys to Texas A&M's win?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are Locked On the Texas A&M Aggies. I am your host, Matt Galatzan, publisher of Texas A&M Aggies on SI. Thank you for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. DJ, it is week one of the college football season. Texas A&M plays Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time on ESPN. They take on the UTSA Roadrunners and Jeff Traylor. We are going to talk about the keys to the game for Texas A&M, what they need to do to win and probably win comfortably. We're also going to pick some prop bets and kind of our favorites in there. And then we're going to get into some bold predictions for the game as well that we think, not a lot of people are talking about, but we're going to get into and give our bold predictions there. So let's start off right off the top. I think that Texas A&M comes into this game obviously with a talent advantage, right? It's an SEC football team. They returned a ton of starters on offense. They returned a bunch of starters on defense. They had an influx in the transfer portal and talent. But there are certain things that I think Texas A&M is going to have to do to win this game. And for me, that starts with running the football. You return the best running back room in the SEC. Le'Veon Moss is fully healthy. Rueben Owens is fully healthy. You bring back Amari Daniels. You still have E.J. Smith. And you also have the freshman Jamarion Morrow, who is very talented in his own right. But if Texas A&M can run the football, get a push up front, and run the ball consistently, 4 or 5 yards a clip, it's going to be a very, very long night for UTSA.
Yeah, obviously with the talent difference between a national program like Texas A&M, and I'm not saying UTSA is like small, but just it's Conference USA, or not Conference USA, the American Conference, and just the biggest talent difference between the two conferences is just the offensive line and defensive line talent that these teams are going to be able to bring in. And so just, that goes into dominating the line of scrimmage. If, Texas A&M can dominate the line of scrimmage like we've seen them do against smaller schools in the past, I think it'll be a rough day for UTSA. And just once again, dominating the line of scrimmage, putting pressure on their quarterback, Owen McCowen. He's one of those guys that, if you don't get pressure on him, he's going to sit back there and throw the ball over the yard on you. And that is something that you do not want if you're Texas A&M because, last year they struggled against the pass.
Yeah, and that brings me into my next point. My next big key for them is to sharpen up that pass defense. That starts up front with the pass rush. Cassius Howell getting involved, TJ Searcy getting involved, some of these freshmen getting involved. Marco Jones, a true freshman, is a guy that we all have really high expectations for. But it also starts on the back end too. You return a very deep secondary with Bryce Anderson and Tyreek Chappell's coming back, which is a huge gain for them. You still got Des Bricks. You still got Will Lee, Marcus Ratcliffe, Julian Humphrey. There's a lot of talent back there. And when you're facing a guy like Owen McCowen, who last year threw for 3,424 yards, 25 touchdowns, 63 QBR, he also can run the ball a little bit. He had 340 yards on the ground and 3 scores. Completed 63% of his passes last year, and his overall quarterback rating was 137.9. So he was very effective back there in the pocket. And I think you're absolutely right. If you let him sit back there and just kind of have his way and find open receivers, it could turn into a long day. And I think the last thing that Texas A&M fans want to see is another porous pass defense like they saw against USC, like they saw against South Carolina, like they saw against some of these other teams down the stretch. Auburn had a really good game against them through the air with a quarterback that I wasn't too high on. So that's something that definitely needs to get buttoned up early in the season. And UTSA is going to be a great, sort of test for going forward in the season and how to, combat that pass defense.
Yeah, it definitely kind of helps because, last year UTSA's defense struggled and they ended up replacing nearly the entire defense. This is going to be the first time that we get to see the rebuilt UTSA defense. And, if they can't mesh right away, it could be nice for the Aggies. Kind of gives them a little bit of cushion on defense, knowing that, their offense can go out and drive down the field and score consistently against this team. It can help, our pass rush get there. They can run around with their hair on fire. They're not going to be worrying about, oh, are we going to give up the rushing lane? Oh, are we going to, if we don't get to this guy right away, is he just going to throw it over our heads? They don't really have to worry about that as much if their offense can go and score down the field, go drive down the field and score consistently.
Yeah, and again, that brings a very good segue, DJ, because that brings me to my next point, my next big key for Texas A&M, and that is you have an entirely new receiver core for the most part. You bring back Terry Bussey, you bring back Ashton Bethel-Roman, but you got 3 guys coming in that are completely new to the program: Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver, Jonah Wilson. I think you have to get those guys involved and get them in a rhythm early and often, so they can get comfortable within the offense. But also, you really want to see Marcel Reed get off to a fast start and get as many of these guys involved in the passing game as you possibly can. Get him in a rhythm early. Give him some easy stuff right off the bat, some short stuff, some quick stuff off the RPO, some screens to Craver or to Concepcion. And then also to kind of build on top of that, you also really want to see this new look tight end room get involved. You got Theo Melanostrum back, which is huge. He's a very talented player, but you bring in Amari Nyblack, you bring in Riley, you bring in Bo Richter. I butchered that pronunciation, but here we are. You want to see as many of these tight ends also get involved in the passing game, because that is a quarterback's best friend. So if he can get the new receivers, the new tight ends involved in the passing game early, find a rhythm, I think that's going to be huge for them early on in this football game.
Yeah, also just getting the passing game involved early and often, it opens up the rushing lanes for your guys, like, what they call the stable. You get Le'Veon Moss out there running, but if you get an entire defense sitting there worrying about, oh crap, this guy's going to, just dump it off over our heads the entire game, they're not going to be looking for, the draw play or even screen passes. So I think getting the ball in your playmakers' hands, like, Concepcion, Craver, I think that's going to be huge for the Aggies on offense.
Yeah, and then I have one more for you, and then I'll ask you if you have one for me. I think it's get Marcel Reed's legs going. We saw what he could do last year on the ground, especially against LSU. He just took that game over on the ground and really helped A&M come back from a big deficit there at halftime after they replaced Connor Wegman. And that's kind of the secret sauce to this offense, I think, is Marcel Reed's legs. Because if this guy can run on you, you could run all the RPO stuff in the world, hand the ball off to the running back or pull it, go outside, hit a quick pass, or just use the zone read game. It can keep the offense guessing, or the defense for UTSA guessing, so much throughout this football game that if you're hitting on all facets early on, whether it's the short passing game, the running game, or Marcel Reed's running ability, I think it's going to be really, really hard for this truly like almost all new UTSA defense to get their heads around.
Yeah, Marcel Reed, just having him as a quarterback for the Aggies, it just completely changes the way a defense has to look at the team. With a guy like Connor Wigman last year, they could kind of just, sit back in those zones, in the man coverage, and just worry about, oh, is the ball coming? Now with Reed, that you get a chance to, oh crap, where's the quarterback to? On top of worrying about, is the ball going to be there? So it just does wonders for the A&M offense, and I think it's going to keep this young UTSA defense just on their heels the entire game.
All right, so yeah, I was going to say, do you have any other keys for us before we move on to our next segment?
I really want to see this A&M defense limit the UTSA rushing attack. You had John Emery Jr. last year; he was their workhorse, and A&M struggled against the run. We saw it against Notre Dame. We saw it against South Carolina. I just want to see how this defense responds to that, and if they can truly stop the run early on in the season.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge key as well, stopping the run. And we're going to get into that a little bit in our third segment. But let's take our first break real quick. When we come back, we're going to pick our favorite prop bets for Texas A&M coming up in this football game. First touchdown, passing yard, totals, over-unders, things like that. Stick with us after this break. We'll be right back. Hey, Locked On Aggie fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes. And you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon or other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app and use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25% gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers may vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Today's show is also brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brand in the business. The real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Join the Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code LOCKEDON or SH College 5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, DJ. It is game week. We are pumped. And one of my favorite things to do is, as a college football fan, before I started covering teams and writing about games and doing this podcast and all those different things. I loved doing some big parlays or some prop bets during games. And not betting a whole lot of money because I'm no gambling expert, and I think it should be said that neither of us are gambling experts. So please don't take our gambling advice as the Bible. Do what you will on your own accord, but it's still a lot of fun to talk about in terms of how to break a game down, what Vegas is thinking, what the overarching themes of this game could be. So we're going to get into some prop bets here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these prop bets out. We're each going to give our pick for an over or an under, or whether or not we think this is, going to hit or not. My first one for you, DJ, is we're going to go with anytime scores. So these are the guys that could score a touchdown at any time in this football game. And I've got three for you that I think are all going to hit in this game, and I want you to tell me whether or not you believe they will as well. My first one is Le'Veon Moss. I think he's going to be featured heavily within this offense in his return. I think he's going to be raring to go, and I think he gets a touchdown, no questions about it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets multiple. He's just one of those guys that you're going to put the ball in his hands if he's healthy. And especially, within the 5, that's who they're going to look to get into the end zone in those situations. So I would not be surprised at all if Moss gets a touchdown.
Yeah, and I think another easy one here would be Marcel Reed. I think he's probably going to throw at least one touchdown pass, maybe run for another one. He's the driving force of this offense. This offense is going to go as far as he takes them. So I think that he gets in the end zone at least a couple times here, definitely an anytime score.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Reed wasn't in there. I mean, we saw what he can do with his legs against LSU, short yardage situation. He's going to get in the end zone. And then especially with his arm now that he has, Conception and Craver all out there, it's going to be kind of hard to deny him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my third one is also probably not too off the reservation here. I think if there's any player on this football team that wants to come out and have a huge game week 1, it's Rueben Owens. He missed almost the entire season last year with an injury. He was expected to be the starter last year before his camp injury, and then Le'Veon Moss took over, had a great year. But Rueben Owens is back. He's healthy. I think that he's going to have a big game and sort of a 1-2 punch with Le'Veon Moss, and I think he also gets in the end zone. I think Le'Veon Moss and Rueben Owens both get a rushing touchdown in this game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like, as a coaching staff, Coach Mike Elko seems like he's one of those guys that, he'll realize, oh, crap, this is Owens' first game back, or like fully healthy back. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in there, and get it to Owens.
Yeah, okay. So now we're going to move on real quick to let's go to passing yards. Let's do that one. So we're going to have an over-under for both Marcel Reed and Owen McCowen on each side. The over-under for Marcel Reed is 240 and a half passing yards. I'm going to go with the under on this one, and here's why. Typically, I feel like I think in most games he'll probably throw for around 220, 230, 240 yards, somewhere in there. I think he's going to have a good year throwing the football. But I think in this one, while I do believe, like we mentioned in the last segment, that they're going to try and get the receivers going early, I think as the game progresses, you're going to see A&M really take control of the game on the ground. So I think that he's probably going to hit the under there, go for, around, 200 yards, and they're just going to, like, when you get to the second quarter and on, when you're really just trying to seize the momentum of the game and take control, they're just going to try to run the football down UTSA's throat.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'd be shocked if they, if he throws for more than 220, great. If he doesn't, I'm not surprised at all. He's also a running quarterback too. Like, he's on top of that. It's just he's not going to throw the ball as many times as a guy like Nussmeier would at LSU. I think 220 is probably the magic number in this game.
Yeah, and then the other one is Owen McCowen, over or under 225 and a half. I'm going to go with the over on this one. And while I think A&M's pass defense is going to take a step forward this season, I think that in the second half, A&M's probably going to be up pretty big, at least by a couple scores at halftime. So you're going to see UTSA have to come out and throw the football a lot. And A&M's probably going to try and sit back in a zone and just keep everything in front of them. So they're going to throw the ball a lot in the second half. So I think Owen McCowen gets the over on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I had that one, start for when the game actually starts. He's averaged 260 yards a game. He's like last year, that's what he did. He really didn't dip under the 225 mark all that often. I think one of the few games that he did was against Texas in that just absolutely brutal loss. But other than that, he was pretty consistently over 225.
Yeah, and then we'll go to passing touchdowns real quick. Owen McCowen is over under 1.5, and Marcel Reed is the same, over under 1.5. I think Marcel Reed hits the over. I think he has 2 passing touchdowns in this game. I think that Owen McCowen gets the under. And while I do think he's going to put up some yards, I think that when they get into the red area, the opportunities that they have, they're gonna lean on their running game with their 3 really good running backs. So they're going to try and get the football in the end zone on the ground. So I think Owen McCowen gets the under, Marcel Reed gets the over.
See, I disagree. I think it's going to be the other way around. I think Reed will get the under. I think they're like we said earlier. I think they're going to rely mainly on the ground game. I think once A&M gets into the red zone, they're going to pound the rock like they usually do. And I think that Owen McCowen, I think he's going to hit the over. Just out of, I think A&M's going to slip up at some point and give up a big touchdown, and then I think he'll just throw one after a march down the field.
Okay. Let's move on to rushing. We're going to close it out with the rushing, I think. The first one is Le'Veon Moss, over under 75 rushing yards. I've got the over here, and I've got it way over. Yes. So I've got that one. I've got that in easy over for Texas A&M and Rueben Owens there.
Yeah, I completely agree. 75 and a half. I looked at it. I was like, that feels low. So I went and looked, and that's 6 of his 9 appearances last year. So I mean, I'd feel pretty confident just hammering that.
And then the other rushing total is over under 40.5 for Robert Henry Jr. He is UTSA's returning leading rusher. He had 706 yards and 7 touchdowns last season on 5.4 yards per carry. I think he hits the over because I think A&M's run defense is going to be improved, but I think that he's going to be able to break a couple of runs here and there and get over that mark fairly. I don't want to say easily because I think they're going to use 3 or 4 running backs, but I think that he's definitely going to hit the over.
Yeah, I agree. He's just one of those guys that anytime he has the ball in his hands, you have to watch out for him. And I think, especially as the game goes on and that A&M defense gets tired, if it gets to the point to where they put the 2s in, I think he could have a day.
And then we'll do receiving totals real quick. KC Concepcion over under 52.5. I think that I'm going to go with the under on this one. I think that he has a decent game, but I don't think he's going to be their leading receiver in this one. I think it's going to be close. I think he probably gets around 45 to 50, but I'm going to take the under on this one.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of those guys that, if he gets that, it'll be from like one major reception. But other than that, I think it'll just be dink and dunk to him.
Yeah. And then the other last receiving total we'll do is for UTSA. David Amador II. He is expected to be their number 1 receiver this year. They have the over-under at 50.5. I'm going to go with the over simply because I don't know who else they're going to throw the ball to, and I think Owen McCowen's going to hit a couple big passes in this one, and Amador seems like the guy that's going to get those for them.
I completely agree for the exact same reason. You hear everything about Owen McCowen, but they don't talk about who's catching the ball, and it seems like he's their guy. So I'm going to take.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take our second break here. When we come back, we're going to give you our bold predictions for this game, and I think we've got a couple of really interesting ones here. So stick with us after this break, and we'll bring you some bold predictions and close out the show. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage, or gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, DJ, it is time for some bold predictions for the game this weekend. Again, Texas A&M kicks off at 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN against the UTSA Roadrunners. Jeff Traylor runs a hell of a program. They've been good over the last couple of years. They were 7-6 last year, I believe, but the year before that, they won 10 games. They had an influx in the transfer portal of some good players, especially in the running back position. And Texas A&M also returns an awesome roster that we're all very excited about. So I think it's going to be a better game than people give it credit for. I think Texas A&M still covers and wins comfortably, but there's going to be a lot of exciting football to be played on Saturday night. Let's get into our bold predictions here. I'm going to go first. I think Texas A&M has not one, but 2 100-yard rushers in this football game. I think Le'Veon Moss and Rueben Owens both break the century mark and both score a touchdown in this game and really get A&M's, top-rated running back room off to a great start in week 1.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it didn't happen. I could see them kind of reeling it in on both of them somewhat early on, considering they're both coming off of injury. But if they're not on a pitch count or anything, I'd really be shocked if they don't reach that mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both guys are raring to go. They're healthy. I don't like if it's a huge, a huge score difference in the third quarter, maybe you see them reel back a little bit. But I just think that they want to get in a rhythm early and get going. And then my other one for UTSA is that they're going to get touchdowns. They're going to get two rushing touchdowns on the ground from this running back room. They brought in John Emery Jr. from LSU. They bring back Robert Henry Jr. They got the kid from USC in the transfer portal too. 3 really good running backs that they're going to be able to deploy out there and take the pressure off of Owen McCowen. And I think when they get in the red zone, they're going to utilize those running backs as much as they possibly can and get in the end zone a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, all the talk has been about A&M's running back room, but UTSA's running back room isn't too far off from it. They have 3 guys back there. It's a 3-headed dragon. And A&M has struggled against the run. So I wouldn't be surprised if those 3 guys have a day out there.
Yeah. All right. Give me your bold predictions, DJ.
I think for the Aggies, I think they're going to combine for 300 yards on the ground. Like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if, Owens and Moss get in there for 100 yards each. But you also have Amari Daniels coming back, so I wouldn't be surprised to get him involved in there. And then you also have Marcel Reed, who can easily go for, 50, 60 yards on the ground himself.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't be shocked to see them hit that mark.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that one. What's your bold prediction for UTSA?
I think Owen McCown's going to go out there, have himself a day, and throw for 3 touchdowns. He's one of those guys that he has that NFL pedigree. He's had his family members in his ear for his entire life. He knows how to play the position of quarterback like the back of his hand. He's basically grew up doing it even before he could talk, really. And this A&M defense, it struggled against the pass last year. I'm just saying for A&M fans, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, and I don't think it's the end of the world. You're facing a quality quarterback, but I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this has the potential to be the best quarterback they play in non-conference. CJ Carr at Notre Dame is a really good quarterback, but he's never thrown a college pass, so you really don't know what to expect out of him yet. Utah State, I don't think, is going to have a quarterback at the level of Owen McCowen either. But it should be exciting. Before we get out of here, DJ, just real quick, give me your score prediction for the game.
I'm thinking it's going to hit just below the spread. I think it's going to be a A&M 42-21.
Okay, yeah, I was on with Harrison earlier this week. I picked 45-20, so I think we're kind of in the same area generally. So I think that it's going to be a comfortable win for the Aggies. There's going to be some things to work on after the game, and I think it's good that they're facing a team that's pretty good in week 1, but not a Ohio State, a Clemson, an LSU, a Alabama, Florida State.
It's not Notre Dame from last year.
Yeah, those kind of games in the season opener, it's really difficult. But you get a good team, but a team that you should be able to handle as well. So I think that'll be good for the Aggies. But that's going to do it for another episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you so much for making Locked On Aggies your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. You can be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our podcast. Give me a follow over on Texas A&M Aggies on SI and on X at Matt Galatzan. Follow DJ on X at DJ Burt, and we will see you next time.